All right, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. My name is Jennifer Cullen. I'm Vineyard Wind's Manager of Workforce and Supply Chain Development. We're here tonight to talk about the jobs that the Vineyard Wind project and our partners GE will be bringing to the islands, and some project updates, and introduce our partners GE to speak more about what their presence will look like here on Martha's Vineyard, and then also ASMV to speak to the technician training program that's available to island residents. So I guess so a little bit about why we're here. So offshore wind is a fantastic renewable energy resource available to us here in the Northeast. As the U.S. transitions away from fossil fuels and towards renewables, each region is really going to have their own unique renewable energy resource that is best suited to that specific area. And for us here in the Northeast, it's offshore wind. So you can see on the map on the left, the darker the green, the better the wind is. We have some of the best wind in the country off our coasts here in Massachusetts. And then you also want to make sure the energy is available close to where the load is and where the demand is. And so as you can see on the right, you can see the Cape sticking out there. So the fact that we have great winds, thank you, Eric. The fact that we have great winds right where we need the electricity means we don't need as much transmission infrastructure, and we can really take best advantage of that resource. So this is what the industry is looking like. All of these colored shaded areas are offshore wind lease areas in the ocean. So we are that navy blue in the top right, and you can kind of see there's some words over Martha's Vineyard right north of that. So our project that we're talking about tonight is 800 megawatts, and it's located in about the top third of that navy blue area. All of the other lease areas there have been leased or will soon be leased out to developers that will be developing even more offshore wind turbines. So what this is looking like is about 52 gigawatts along the coast, which is the equivalent of about 60 projects the size of Vineyard Wind. So the industry is growing very rapidly. Vineyard Wind alone has that whole lease area, which has 3 projects in various stages of development, as well as the lease area right there to the bottom right, and that's another 2 projects worth. So just one developer already has 5 projects in various stages of development in those 2 areas. So just real quick, the benefits. The state of Massachusetts has set a target of 5,600 megawatts of offshore wind. Vineyard Wind 1 is 800 megawatts. The state has already procured a second project that is another 800 megawatts, and will be announcing a third project probably by the end of this year. We're hoping it's ours, and that could be up to another 1,200 megawatts of energy. So already the state is moving really quickly towards procuring as much offshore wind as possible. That's millions of homes, so that target of 5,600 megawatts is 42% of the Commonwealth's energy. Our one project, 800 megawatts, is about 6% of what the state needs. So these are very big projects. This will be a massive energy load for our state. All right, so the Vineyard Wind project, like I said, it's 800 megawatts. It's a utility scale power plant size wind farm. It'll be 62 GE turbines down in that area. Each dot is a turbine, and that line there is the cable corridor that brings the energy right to the Cape, right at Covell's Beach in Barnstable. Obviously, there are big emissions reductions by using renewable energy for our power as opposed to fossil fuels. And we'll be using the GE Haliade X 13 megawatt turbine. So many of the turbines that you see driving around onshore are, 1.5 megawatts up here in the Northeast. These are 13 megawatt machines. These things are massive. I'll let Mike at GE speak a little bit more to what those are like. In terms of the local ports supporting this, we'll be doing our construction based out of New Bedford, but we will be doing our long-term operations and maintenance right down the street in Vineyard Haven. So what that looks like is once the wind farm is constructed, the next 25 years of taking care of those turbines, that crew will go out of the Vineyard Haven facilities, which I think the next slide's a little bit on that. So I'm going to kick it over to Richard Andre, who's our partner at Vineyard Power, to speak a little bit about what's going on here on the islands.
Thanks, Jen, and welcome everyone. So we're with Vineyard Power. We're the local cooperative. We're also located on Beach Road. And Eric and I, my colleague Eric, our goal was to kind of capture local benefits, and one of the biggest benefits you can have is like local port infrastructure and also local job creation. Vineyard Wind committed to locating that facility in, on Beach Road and at the airport. So when I talk about Beach Road, I'm talking about a portion of Ralph Packer's property. It's called the Tisbury Marine Terminal. It's over on the side that's closest to Eastville before you approach the drawbridge. That's the one site. The other site is going to be in the former Hinckley property, the old Hinckley warehouse down number 61 Beach Road, and then the third is going to be at the airport where a helicopter operation is going to be built. Anyway, Vineyard Haven's committed to the local working waterfront, but the second bullet point, that a target is 100% of the staff that works on this O&M facility over 5 years will be island-based people, island-based residents. And working with really great partners like ACE-MV, Mass CEC, which is a partner at the state, Bristol Community College. There's been a lot of effort in developing the workforce by providing training and certification programs. So that's a view of the Beach Road corridor, and Eric can point out that's the area of the facility that's going to be developed into the marine terminal. Next. This is a rendering of what that'll look like. Those are two crude transfer vessels, or CTVs, that will bring out spare parts and equipment and technicians to the offshore wind farm. That offshore wind farm is 14 miles south of South Beach, just to give a little bit of geography. Those that Jennifer pointed out earlier, it's about 14 miles. It's about a, give or take 2-hour journey on a vessel. Maybe it's a little bit shorter than that, but that's not a bad estimate. Maybe an hour and 40-something minutes. You go around East Chop, make the turn, go down Muskegon, and head out to the farm. But what you see there is those two CTVs and a new pier to handle all the goods. That's another view of that. You get a little sense where that is now, maybe on Beach Road. That's the old power plant from Martha's Vineyard. That's over there on the right. Go ahead, Eric. And that's just another rendering as well. And finally, I mentioned the crew transfer vessels. I mentioned the airport. There's going to be a robust helicopter operation operating out of the airport. And that's just a pretty cool picture of a technician being lowered to the top of the nacelle. You see there's a technician already up there waiting to guide him down. And in the background, you see an SOV, which is a kind of a floating hotel where technicians will spend 2 weeks offshore and 2 weeks onshore living in there. So those are the contact details that you can get in touch with myself or Jennifer or her colleague Nikki, and you can we'll have that information passed out to you later on. Okay, with that, I'd like to hand over to General Electric. That will come up and talk about technicians.
All right. Hello, everybody. So that last picture was a picture of the Holiad X. I don't think we have any in here, but yeah. So that's the prototype in Rotterdam that he just had up. So I'm Mike Hansen. I'm the operations manager currently for the Block Island Wind Farm, and will be for the Vineyard Wind Farm. And Shane Watts with me.
Yeah, technician for GE. Work on the Block Island Wind Farm right now, and looking to answer some questions and give some guidance to what an offshore technician's job entails.
Yeah, so he's got a short presentation here on a day in the life of a technician, and then I've got a slide on the hiring timeline that at least I'm looking for GE side of the operations coming up in 23 about.
So just a quick view of what it all entails of being a technician. We start our job at 6 in the morning. We arrive at the O&M or at port with our teammates. We plan, we double check our equipment, our parts, and all of our consumables. It's very important that we go over everything multiple times. You cannot leave anything behind when you're working offshore. We perform this again once we get to the port, just to be clear and be sure that everyone's on the same page with what our job entails and what we're bringing. Go to the next one. Once we are on board and we load all our parts and material into the CTV, after onboarding, we will conduct a safety talk and a toolbox talk. The goal is to be clear and to answer all questions prior to work and transfer. This is to make sure everybody's on the same page. Just more information to get us going, so when we get to the turbine, we are ready to work, because the day gets condensed very small with a transfer there and a transfer back. We take a look over EHS items, and we also have basically a screenshot up here of what we look at to see each turbine and what can be done on each turbine and team status. You can move on. Upon our arrival, our CT will push up and we will transfer either from the front end of the boat, the bow, or an implement off an SOV, which connects straight to the jacket. Transferring this is where we get our trainings from. This is where you take sea survival training. This is where most of your accidents could happen on a turbine. Every day you're making this transfer once, twice, up to 4 times a day. You have to be very careful, especially in certain sea state conditions. As you guys probably know, living out here, it's difficult working with the waves, and it can be a difficult transfer sometimes. Move on. Once we're at the turbine, we've planned all of our work. We do another toolbox talk. We also go over all of our data, all of our recordings that we've created. We look at our manuals, we look at our schematics. We perform the tasks that we've all planned to do already, and we get working on it. And I just have a picture of some schematics and some of our data recording that we take a look at and that you have to have some knowledge of to be a technician. These are just different locations. Inside of the turbine we have now, it's actually a very big turbine compared to the ones that you see onshore. And the one that's actually going to be for Vineyard is actually even bigger than this.
Yeah, that's the Hollywood 150.
This is a turbine we have at Block Island right now. Through the tower we have most of our electrical components, most of our cabinets, converters, transformers, switch gears, coolants. And then over here in the nacelle it shows that multiple people can be working in the hub and the pitch, replacing our pitch drives and motors, any small electrical components. And then we have a larger picture of the nacelle, just kind of showing a little detail of how big it really is, and there's many, many jobs inside of it. Move on. And then again, we're just going over different things that you can encounter while you're in the turbine troubleshooting, different communication faults. We deal with a variety of sensors. There's many, many electrical works. Heating and cooling systems, there's replacement of large and small components. There's like 10 different trades that you do inside of a turbine. There's not just one thing. You have to be able to do different things at a drop of a dime. And just showing here that just communications alone can be very difficult. And then that's very small, very intricate, work with a PC. And then next to that I have when we had to replace a yaw gearbox. It was they're 1,000 pounds. There's up to 12 of them in a turbine. These are only 7 of them, but it's a very big job. And then just at the end of the day, I just put up that at the end of the day, it's 12 hours. You work 12 hours on, and then you come back and return to the port and do it all again the next day. That's just a photo of us. We had drone work come out and got us, and the one next to it was the first day we put power into the grid on our turbine back in 2016.
That was the first offshore.
That was the first offshore wind power in the United States that we put into the grid that day. It was a pretty big deal that day. We even got a tweet from Barack Obama.
Hey Shane, you mentioned the 12-hour days. What about the day patterns?
So for us, it's going to be a little different with Vineyard. It's going to be 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, working 14 days. With us, it's a little different. We only have 5 turbines. So it's we produce when we can. We perform our maintenances that are already scheduled through the year. So we have a time frame through the summer where we try to hit because it's lower wind through the summer. Then we try to produce as much as possible through winter months, and we go out to the turbine when needed. So schedules can change quite often for us, but for Vineyard it's going to be pretty
2 weeks on.
set in stone, 12 hours,
2 weeks on.
2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Is there an elevator in that tower?
Yes.
Man lift.
Man lift.
I'm sorry.
Or a woman.
Well, yes. It's a service lift. Service lift. Service lift. Service lift. And so the next slide is just a high-level overview of what we'll be looking at for staffing. So it all pretty much starts in 23 as far as hiring for the project, for the O&M side, for GE. And in the green bars, these are office jobs or people that would be working at that O&M facility, essentially down the street. We're going to need a couple of warehouse managers. We're going to need a planner. We're going to need an EHS and quality person. So, somebody has a background in that type of discipline. We'll be looking for somebody like that. All in blue are the field operations. There's going to be 2 site managers. There will be a field engineer. There will be 2 lead technicians, and then 18 total technicians. And in GE, we have a progression of level 1, level 2, and level 3 technicians. And they'll be hired staggered throughout the year, and not exactly in that order, but it could flow between them. Whether a tech 1 could be hired earlier on, and so entry level would be tech level 1, and I think we're talking to the school about things like that and the programs that are available right now. Beyond this, there's just a bunch of shots that we thought were nice from our work over the last 5 years at Block Island.
What about going out and that's an evening shot? So on your 12-hour shifts, of course, in the wintertime, it'll be...
Like right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But the boat's got some pretty good lights on it.
Yeah, and it's just so much different from onshore. I think all of us coming from onshore, we never understood how fast the weather can change. Being on an island, I'm sure all you understand, but at the drop of a dime, it changes so fast, and so we have other people watching weather for us, things like that, keep us all safe.
Who's watching that?
We have guys on the, yeah, I mean, anyone back at our office keeps an eye on lightning for us. We get lightning alerts, but we also have the CTV crew keeps a...
Yeah, they're the best view of,
I got it. Yeah, the crew.
what's happening on the water.
And just a little scale, how high is the yellow, if you're looking at that transition piece, the yellow, give it a sense of scale.
That's 65 feet.
That's 65.
65, 75 feet.
And then...
so then another 300, 350 to the top.
for those turbines.
Can you talk a little bit about whales and whale migration and how you adjust travel?
Yeah, so the CTV actually, they put out reports for the migration for the right whale. That's the main one I believe that they're looking for, is the right whale. And the CTV and the vessel operators take care of that for us. We don't really have much to do with that, and they keep any warnings and alerts, and if they see them, then we have to stay away and stay out. And it has happened before. We've had to wait longer to transfer because there was a migration coming through the south of us.
Now, Holly, these are just a little different because they're closer to shore, and ours are going to be much more out in the open water, so that one of your questions will even be more relevant. I have a question. Jennifer, will they be trained as PSOs on these vessels, protected species observers?
On the CTV?
Yeah. Or like
I think
dual
that's
training?
still to be determined for the crew transfer vessels.
Okay.
For construction, I believe every vessel is going to need a protected species observer.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's about 4 hours.
Well, I just wondering if they were, not so much.
Yeah.
But thanks. Thanks a lot. Any questions?
What's the best and worst parts of the job?
Honestly, I can't tell you. Like I said, I've been very fortunate. I haven't had any part of the job I can actually tell you that I dislike. I've had jobs I've hated before, and this doesn't even come close to, there's nothing I can complain about. You work with a good, I'm fortunate, I work with a great group of guys, and there's nothing better than when there's a turbine down and you have a set of skills that you get to use and put forward to get power back to a grid when there's high winds and it's clean power. I mean, we're building a different future for everyone, and you have a big part of that being a technician.
Yeah, if you troubleshoot something and it was a difficult task and you get that machine running before getting picked up because you're actually on a deadline here. Like on onshore, we could be working till 11 o'clock at night still trying to figure that thing out. Offshore, you got to cut off. You know, you've got to get back. The CTV has a set amount of hours that crew can work, or in this case, you know, the helicopter will have a certain amount of, you know, light that it can work in. But if you get that thing running and you get down tower and then you're sailing home and you see all the turbines running on the way out, yeah, it's pretty nice.
I guess that could be the only downfall is when you're sailing back away and the turbine's still down.
Yeah.
Size-wise, how much larger will the Vineyard wind turbines be compared to the Block Island turbines?
So, I mean, in height, it's
Like 20 meters?
20 meters, 20 more meters.
But then the blade, if you think about the blade as well, that'll add some to it
Yeah.
as well.
The blade's another 25 meters compared to these.
How many megawatts are this?
These are 6.
6, and yeah.
We 13, so yeah, over double.
For some perspective to the onshore turbines, this is an 800 megawatt site with 62 turbines. An average turbine that we're putting up onshore is about 2.5 megawatts. So our previous, at one time, the largest wind farm in the world in Oregon is also 800 megawatts. That has 2.5 megawatts. It has 332 turbines. This has 62 and produces more power. So,
That's great.
And what's the statistic, like one rotation of the blade can power your house for
2 days.
2 days?
One rotation of one turbine.
Yeah.
One house. 2 days.
One house, 2 days, yeah.
So, moving along, maybe Holly would be a good time now to speak about the certification program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Did I miss anybody? Alright, so I'm Holly Bellabono. I'm the Executive Director at ACE&B. We are adult and continuing education of Martha's Vineyard. In addition to a variety of other certificates, licenses, and degrees that we offer through our partnerships with colleges and universities on the mainland, we're also working with Bristol Community College to offer the Offshore Wind Turbine Technician Certificate. So what I just handed you is information about our next cohort, which will begin in January. So if you enroll with us, you'll be part of this cohort, which is a group of students working through the certificate at the same time. We have 2 going right now. One is the first one graduates next month, so they're on the way to finishing the certificate and moving on. So if you were to join the program, you would start in January. Classes at Bristol start the week of Monday, January 24th. And it's a 23 credit program. We have 6 classes, and it's generally, it'll take you 1.5 to 2 years to complete it. It's really designed for people who work during the day, who have jobs, who have families, who have commitments, and they take these as night classes. So the way we offer it is 2 courses per semester, and you can finish within about 3 semesters, so it's about 1.5 years. In January, the first class to be offered is electrical machinery. It's taught by Dana Munn, who is a teacher here at the high school. And then we will have one other class, probably offshore safety and survival, but it's not set yet what that second class is going to be. You'll see the prices listed. That's full price. We're working to get scholarships and discounts. So please contact us if you need financial aid. We can help you work with Bristol to get discounts on the tuition to make the cost lower. But basically, if you take the whole certificate in a year and a half, it's right around $7,000. So it's a great investment. It's a really reasonable cost, actually. And it's really going to put you on a step forward when you're applying for a job with General Electric. You'll have this training behind you. It will, you focus on fluid systems, ecology, wind power technology, wind power operations and maintenance, offshore safety and survival. So those are some of the really key fundamental concepts that you'll need to become an offshore wind technician. There are some notes on this sheet that you'll notice. English language, you need to be able to speak, write, and understand English. We've had a couple of Brazilian folks enroll, which is great, but as long, you just got to make sure that the English language isn't going to be an impediment to you taking the course and succeeding. Time commitment per week, you're going to need to devote 12 to 17 hours per week, and that includes class time. Duration, 2 classes per semester, so about a year and a half total. Financial aid, if you're taking those 2 classes, you're eligible for financial aid through Bristol. If you're only taking 1 class a semester, you're not. But financial aid can be available. Scholarships, I mentioned, we currently have scholarships for women and minorities, and we may have other scholarships available soon from MassCEC. And then after you finish the certificate, you can go forward at Bristol or another community college and get an associate's degree if you like, and then a bachelor's. Or you can use this certificate to apply directly to be employed in the industry. To register, you'll register both with ACE&V, which is located here at the high school, and you'll register with Bristol Community College. And then we'll help guide you through the process of payments and enrolling in the class, and then taking the course. The credit comes directly from Bristol, but ACE&V helps facilitate that for you. Any questions about the certificate and the training? Yeah.
Is that like 3 to 4 hours a night, Monday through Friday?
It's 2.5 to 3 hours once a week for 1 class.
Okay.
So the class, so for instance, electrical machinery, say it happens on Monday nights. I'm not sure when it will be. It'll be from, say, 6 to 9 on Mondays. And then the next class will be maybe Thursday night, same time frame.
Awesome.
That's for about 14 weeks a
14
semester?
weeks.
14 weeks?
Yeah, that's a semester-long class.
So, starting up in the middle of January, ending up in the middle of May, I guess, with some breaks, I guess.
And then no classes during the summer. Everything's off during the summer, and then we start again in the fall semester in September. Yeah?
Is the electrical machinery class going to be taught virtually or in person?
So the latest we've gotten, because of COVID, we had to move everything online. The latest news is that electrical machinery will be in person in January, here at the high school, once a week, that evening course. The other one, offshore safety and survival, will most likely be an online class, but it's kind of up in the air right now. Any other questions? If you think of anything, any thoughts come to mind, feel free to reach out to us. Questions about the industry and employment, get in touch with Richard or Eric at Vineyard Power. Questions about the certificate, Bristol education, get in touch with me or the ACE office. Carlos, did you want to say anything from Bristol?
But yes, my name is Carlos Avila. I'll be the point of contact on Bristol then, collecting all the application materials and forwarding any issues you may have with tech requirements. Yeah, just who you want.
And Carlos, are you at the Fall River campus?
As of right now, yes.
Yeah, that's where he's based. And we're kind of taking that Fall River campus and kind of ACE is trying to create like an adjunct campus here at the high school.
So it's really exciting. We've got, like I said, the 2 cohorts are, one's finishing up, one's in the middle, and if you guys enroll, you'll be cohort 3. And we do our best to support you with other services, career skill classes, financial literacy classes, investment, all sorts of things are offered through ACE, which would be free to you. So it's a nice mix of professional skills along with the technical training.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you. Thank you. So there's no other formal presentations planned. So you've heard from Vineyard Wind, General Electric, now ACE. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask them now, or we have some time when we break up to approach any of us personally. If you want to speak to the GE folks, they're here and available. You talk more to Shane about his life as a technician, or myself or Jennifer or Eric about the project, or even further discussions with Holly and about the program. This is the recruitment for the 3rd cohort, so there's been obviously 2 cohorts ahead. One is first cohort's getting ready to graduate in December. GE was out here today kind of meeting and greeting them and talking about opportunities for them, so they're about ready to make the transition into the workforce. And then cohort 2 is a year behind, and this would be cohort 3, so it's quite exciting. So, but thank you so much for coming here, and thanks everybody for coming.